Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Spark session. It's called Whoops, I Did It Again, Emotional Beliefs and Cognitive Errors. Yeah, those of us with ADHD, we struggle, and we a lot of times we struggle with emotional regulation. I don't know about you, but it's about 5:30 my time, and I've already struggled with my emotional self-regulation. Oh, I would say at least 352 times today. And so, for those of you who don't know this about ADHD, those of us with ADHD can have difficulty processing emotion, fasten onto our feelings, which means we get a feeling, we're irritated, and now I'm going to hang on to it. We, a lot of times, will show fear, anxiety, insert negative emotion here deep into our body. And just to be clear, I'm thinking of research that came out of Harvard a couple of years ago that we store emotions in our body. We get carried away with emotion. In other words, oh, I'm angry, and now everyone has got to pay for that anger. We can be emotionally motivated. I often talk about the husband I was coaching. I coached both husband and wife, and they were talking about how he actually kind of picked a fight with his wife to get so angry that he would go and clean the garage. Yeah, that's emotionally motivated. And finally, fear of rejection. And a lot of us deeply, deeply fear being rejected by others. So all of these issues really mess with our sense of emotional regulation. So today, we're going to be talking about how we can get into the ditch believing some things about emotions. Good news is your brain's not broken, but you could be making some cognitive errors when it comes to managing your emotions. I've been an ADHD coach. I don't know, I forget how many years, but I think it's like 10 years now because I'm getting up there in years. And the biggest mistakes that I see my clients doing are in the area of cognitive errors when they're trying to manage their emotions. So cognitive errors happen when your thoughts and feelings don't match reality. What I mean by this is inside your head, you have thoughts and feelings, and they're intermingling. They're having a nice little party. Meanwhile, outside, there's reality going on. And what happens is our thoughts and feelings get so carried away. Reality is so different than what we've actually created. And that's the cognitive error. And I'm going to be addressing a few in this first session that really start to get in our way. So cognitive errors are intuitive responses to painful feelings. And we do these intuitive responses to kind of give a relief for the short term. But that usually causes problems down the road. And that's what we're going to need to talk about today. So before we get started, are you willing to do these things? Are you willing to be aware of your emotional state? Are you willing to consider like the current factors that might be influencing your decisions on emotions? Are you willing to reflect on the past, no matter how painful or sad it might be? Are you willing to be curious about your emotions? Are you willing to strive for a growth mindset? By the way, that's an easy one for you guys. You already showed up for this. You're already interested in learning. So you can go ahead, check. You already have a growth mindset. Are you willing to identify what makes you uncomfortable? Some of the things we're going to be talking about today, you might go, Tamara, I'm not sure if I agree with you. And that's okay. I don't have to be right. But notice what makes you uncomfortable. And instead of immediately saying, well, I don't agree with it for these reasons, I'd love for you to stop and go, I wonder why that makes me uncomfortable that she said that. Finally, after, I'm hoping that you will seek multiple perspectives. In other words, I'm hoping you will ask the people closest to you, for feedback. When do you see me making these cognitive errors? So, first big idea, you can't directly control your emotions. So you might as well just stop. But you can manage their intensity and the messaging of them. So those of us who have ADHD, we have big emotions. And in my book, I write about they go from 1 to 10. In other words, we're like a light switch. Either they're off or they're full on. And so that's what I'm talking about with the intensity of emotions. The messaging of emotions are the meaning that we give to our emotions. And I think that's where we can start to control the message of our emotions. Other big idea is you can't fully trust your thoughts, especially about yourself. So this is where this starts to feel a little bit awkward for people. They're like, whoa, hold up. I can't control my emotions, but I can't fully trust my thoughts. What can I rely on? And so today we're going to be talking about cognitive errors we make, but also what to do about those cognitive errors. Emotions aren't wrong. Thoughts aren't always accurate. Cognitive error number 1. Fearing your emotions. So a lot of us feel like a big cat is hunting us when we have these big emotions. I work with a lot of clients who spend a lot of their energy just trying to get away from all these big feelings. And I see a lot of my clients who don't want to process. They don't want to have to dive into that pool of big emotions and actually feel the sadness that they're feeling or the frustration. And so here's the cognitive error. When we fear our emotions, we do weird things around them. We'll, I don't know, eat a whole bag of potato chips like Tamara might when she's feeling sad. I don't, because I don't fear my emotions anymore. But we do weird things just to try to kind of cheer ourselves up or to get ourselves in a better mood. So instead of doing that, I'd love for us to think, I don't have to fear this. I don't have to think like a big cat is hunting me. So first, we have to stop teaching our brain that emotions are dangerous. Emotions are not dangerous. It is okay that I have big emotions. It's not okay for me to act on the big emotions. That's a different issue. It's okay for me to experience big emotions. When I teach my brain that emotions are dangerous, my brain starts to protect me. And what happens is a lot of times our brains will try to protect us by shouting, and that feels like anxiety to us. And so let's say something bad happened to me and I felt sad, but I'm afraid of that emotion. So I don't want that. And so I teach my brain, hey, next time you feel that, warn me, let's not do that again. It felt too sad. So now another opportunity to feel sad comes up. Instead of feeling that emotion, I've taught my brain to sound an alarm that feels a lot like anxiety. So here's a couple things you could do instead. Remember that emotions aren't dangerous, even our big emotions, but they are informative. And something I ask my clients to do when someone is afraid of their emotions is hold out your hand and just kind of imagine a little person version of you sitting there and going, I'm really angry, or I'm very sad, or very lonely. And then to ask that emotion, what's going on? Why are you here right now? What are you trying to tell me? And I know it sounds silly to kind of look at the emotion, but once you can look at it, then you know what to do with it. One time I was working with a family And one of the little boys in the family said, I'm very, very sad, and I don't know what to do when I'm very sad. And so, as we were kind of doing this family coaching, we were talking about how he was really afraid of his emotions. And so we did, some playing with these stuffed monkeys that I have in my office. I said, well, if this monkey were sad, what would you do with it? And he picked up the monkey and he held it close and said, it's going to be okay, monkey. I've got you. And, the parents in the room got all teary eyed, and it was one of those precious moments, because he knew he didn't have to be afraid of emotions if he knew how to take care of them. So now this little boy, he's all grown up now, he imagines his big emotions like they're little monkeys, and he knows how to take care of them. So overall, we want to acknowledge the feeling and to be curious about it. We don't have to be afraid of our big emotions. Next, cognitive error number 2, trusting our emotions. A lot of us say, oh, I just trusted my gut on this. And oh, I just feel led to do this. We don't want to really trust our emotions, especially those of us with ADHD. We have big emotions and we have a lot of them going on at the same time. So I'd like to give you a few things you can do to think through, should I trust this emotion or not? Sometimes, by the way, I trust this emotion and it gets me into big trouble, right? Something happens and I'm like, oh, heck no, did that just happen? And I go rushing into that situation. I trusted my emotion and I ran into that situation, and then I got in trouble for that. And so now I've learned, let's just take a beat and run your emotions, your big emotions, through a couple things. So the first thing I would like to suggest is if I'm feeling a big emotion, usually the negative kind, and I don't know what to do with it, I set a timer. I have a nifty little watch. I set the timer for 3 minutes, and I do something for 3 minutes. If by the time my watch pulsates on my wrist, that emotion has subsided, then I just realize, oh, that was a big emotion attack. I don't think we need to pursue or make meaning of it. And I just let it go at that point. But sometimes the timer goes off, and then I think, okay. And by the way, I always have to check, am I hungry or tired? Because those will kind of help me fasten on to an emotion. But if I'm not hungry, if I'm not tired, then I have to think a second, what is it that I'm feeling? And a lot of times it's a combination feeling, which means, wow, I'm irritated by this. I'm really hurt by this. And wow, I'm kind of worried. And they've all kind of mashed together in a big ball of emotion. So when I can kind of take them apart, a lot of times I can look and go, you know what though? The big emotion leading here is sadness. And so maybe I should just go ahead and feel that sadness. So the step I just said, is it a combination feeling? So let's say you set a timer, you thought about if it's a combination feeling, then it's still not going away. So an exercise I do is I try to write out what I'm experiencing from another person's point of view. In other words, tell my story through someone else's point of view, not even related to the story, but as if it happened to them. And usually as I'm writing, I can kind of feel the feelings like clear up, dissipate, or really become laser focused of, oh, this is what I'm feeling. And I think I can actually act on this now because I know exactly what I'm feeling. A lot of times, we'll be having feelings, and it will tap into something that has happened to us previously. So a lot of times our feelings are going, oh, hey, we remember you feeling like that before. And here's the memory, but we're not actually going to tell you the memory. We're just going to kind of make you feel big emotions about it. So another question to ask yourself is, have I felt this before? If so, when and what caused that? Again, I'm doing this to try to sort out the emotions to see which ones I can trust. And only then will I act on my emotions. All right, it's time to spark. Think about a time when you feared your emotions and tell us what happened and how could you make, well, what cognitive errors did you make? And how could you make this cognitive error, I don't know, again tomorrow or in the next few days or weeks? All right, on your mark, get set, spark. All right. I wish we were together because I would love to hear about a time when you feared your emotions and what happened and what you learned from it. We're not together, so I'm really hoping that this is starting to simmer in your brain of, huh, in what ways do I fear my emotions? Next, I want you to think about a time when you were led away by your emotions. You know, that big swell of emotions. You know, for Tamara, it's, oh, heck no. But what happened to you? Tell me about a time. Well, you can't really tell me, but tell yourself and write about a time when you were carried away by your emotions. And what happened? What did you learn? And how could you make this cognitive error again and again? What could you do instead? On your mark, get set, spark. All right. Thanks for thinking about that. I hope you enjoy the next conversations, and I'll see you again for part 2.